mill. So there are different kind of mills, and ball mill is one of them. So it is going to the ball mill. Then this line, if you see from here, atmospheric air is coming, and the atmospheric air is making the, carrying this coal dust into the boiler, and then the combustion is taking place over here. You can see the flame, and then the hot gas is passing through this. As I have told that there are all the modes of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. So radiative and convective heat transfer is taking place here. After that, it is convection, a very hot flue gas. So the hot flue gas is going through. So heat transfer is taking place in different section. Even here there is one heat exchanger, which is your air preheater. So as the gas moves in this direction, its temperature reduces. So at the lowest temperature, we have got air preheater. Then we have got economizer, or where the water is being heated, then reheater, and then different superheaters. So this is what. And at the wall of the boiler, we have got the tubes embedded. So these are called water tube, and obviously certain amount of heat, good amount of heat, is also being absorbed by that. And then once the superheated steam is produced, so the superheated steam is coming like this, and then it is going to the turbine. So in the turbine, then it is expanding. After that, there is some sort of a reheat. So reheat also has been shown here. If you be bit careful, you will find that. And after that, it is going to the low stage, low pressure turbine, LP turbine. And from there, it is coming to the condenser. So from there, from the condenser, there will be a pump. Through the pump, it is going to the cooling tower. Not the steam, but the liquid is going to the cooling tower, and from the condenser, the liquid will come through some sort of a pump. Liquid will come through some sort of a pump. This is the feed water, different feed water heater, and it will go to the boiler. So let's say this is the LP stage of the turbine. From here, condenser. From the condenser, water will come to different feed water heater, and then again to boiler. And the coolant water from the condenser, that will go to the turbine. That will go to the cooling tower, and from the cooling tower again it will return to the condenser. Air path wise, the hot air, here it is coming. There is a air preheater. It is a very special kind of heat exchanger. It is also called regenerator. We will study about it later on. Then it goes through some sort of separation system where the fine particle of ash is separated. So by the burning of coal, there are two types of ashes produced. One is called bottom ash. So bottom ash is getting collected over here, and another is very fine. This is called fly ash, or sometimes it is also called top ash. So this is getting separated over here. It is precipitator. Electrostatic precipitator could be there, or some other kind of separation device will be there. When time will come, I will explain it. And then ultimately there is a fan which is called induction fan, because it is drawing the air, and through the induction fan it will go to the stack or chimney. So this is in general the arrangement of a steam pot plant. This figure is very small, that's why there could be a little bit difficulty in following this figure. But if you give certain amount of care and time, you will be able to understand it. So I have described the working fluid circuit, that is the water circuit, and I have described the air circuit. Fresh air comes from here, it goes to the pulverizing mill, goes to the boiler, and then it goes up through the chimney, again up to the atmosphere. So this is your air circuit, this is the water circuit, and there is another water circuit which is coolant water circuit, that from the condenser it goes to the cooling tower, and then hot water goes to the cooling tower, and then cold water again comes back to the condenser. In details, some of these systems I will show later on. Up to this, if you have any question, please tell me. But more or less, some sort of a rough figure of power plant should be clear to you. Steam-based power plant should be clear to you. Please tell me.
What is the purpose of air preheater?
Air preheater. Actually, we are taking air.
So the last class actually extended a bit. Can you just tell the last 5 minutes of the lecture?
Yeah, definitely. No problem. Okay. Let me take 1 minute's gap and then I am explaining. You see, what we are seeing, I am sorry, the figure is little bit small, but what we can do, we will see these subsystems later on, and I will show you an animation after a few days. So what we are seeing, we can tell a bird's eye view of subcritical steam power plant, coal-based subcritical steam power plant. All right. So in the subcritical steam power plant, I like to explain with the help of this diagram the water circuit. Water is the working fluid. The air circuit, because air is very much needed for combustion and transport of thermal energy. And then there is another water circuit which is cooling water circuit. Okay, one is working fluid, water and steam circuit, and another is cooling water circuit. What are the main component? Main component, you see, this is your boiler. This part is your boiler. I will come to this circuit later on. Okay. This is the boiler. These are the turbine. This is the highest pressure stage of the turbine, some sort of intermediate pressure stage of the turbine, and low pressure stage of the turbine. So these three are the turbine. Below the turbine, here there is a condenser. And then from the condenser, this big thing you can understand, this is your cooling tower. Okay. So anybody can tell me why a cooling tower is used? Why do we use a cooling tower?
To like cool the condenser, like to add environment.
Actually, it is like this, that in the condenser, steam is being cooled by circulating water. Now, what one can do, that let's say I have got a very big pond or river nearby, so I can take fresh water, condense this steam, and hot water I can leave to the river, and continuously I take fresh water, cold water, and hot water goes out. But this is not allowed because this creates a lot of pollution to the river or the lake. That is one thing. And the way I think it should be done, it is not done that way, because just from the pond or river, we cannot take water and put it in the condenser, because that water will have a lot of impurities. So water is generally treated. Otherwise, the condenser, there will be a lot of corrosion problem, and fouling. This is a heat exchanger. So this is called fouling problem. So then I like to have a closed system. So how can we have a closed system? I can have a closed system that this water I will not throw in the river or pond, rather I will cool it. So the hot water is sprayed in a cooling tower and air is drawn through the cooling tower. So little bit of evaporation is there, but by that little bit of evaporation, the water get cooled. And then this cold water again can be sent to the condenser. More than this, I will not tell now. So this is your cooling water circuit and cooling tower. And cooling towers are there in all the power plant nowadays. Earlier, there used to be power plant near the river and no cooling tower. This direct cooling could have been done. But now, due to environmental regulations, we cannot do this. So when you go past the thermal power plant of Kolaghat, you can see the cooling tower because this will be visible. This plume will be visible. What is this plume? This plume is nothing but moist air is coming out and outside air is dry and cold. So here condensation of water vapor will take place. So that's why you can see this visible plume. Then what are the other equipment? This is chimney. This is also visible from a distance and black smoke will come out. So here white smoke like thing will come out. This is the water vapor and here the black smoke will come out because that will have very small particle of ash and coal. So more than that, what will be there? There is another very important system that is called coal handling system. So coal will come and that will be fed continuously to the boiler. So now let me relate the systems. So what is done? Fresh air I have to take from for combustion. So fresh air is being taken. So this gray line is the fresh air line. And then there will be some sort of a fan, which is a forced draft fan, because this will force the air to the boiler and other system. So this will go and this will go to a ball mill, which is receiving coal and making it into fine powder. So in the ball mill or pulverizer, the air is getting mixed with coal dust and then it will be injected inside the boiler, and here we can see the flame. Okay, there will be number of nozzles and this flame we can see. And then the hot air will pass through different section of the boiler like this, this, and the hot air will pass through here. There is a air preheater, and then there is some sort of a separator to separate the fly ash, and then it will go to the chimney. Okay, so when it is going out, its temperature should be low. There are environmental regulation, and the fly ash content should also be low. So that's why all this separation, etc., takes place. Okay, and then here, so there are two fans. Here there is a forced draft fan for forcing the air into the system, and here there is an induced draft fan for drawing the air from the system. Okay. And here from the boiler, as I have told that ash, there are two parts of ash. It is called bottom ash. Generally, these are bigger particle of ash that will get collected. And the fly ash that is getting separated over here, there is some sort of a precipitator, either electrical precipitator or other kind of precipitator I will describe later on. So ash will get precipitated to a very great extent in this precipitator. Now let us see the water circuit. So this is your condenser. From the condenser, there is a pump. Through the pump, it is going to different feed heaters. Here you see there is a 12. This is deaerator. There is 13. 13 is feed heater. So schematically, they have shown only 2. So from there, The water goes here, and here there is an economizer. Economizer means the subcooled water is brought almost to the saturation temperature. Then this, just a minute, from the economizer, here it is going, and here, sorry, here the water goes into some sort of a circulation loop. This I will explain in a diagram, just maybe after 1 or 2 slides. And then here the evaporation takes place. And then after evaporation, water is taken, and then it goes to the different superheater. And from the superheater, it goes to the first stage of the boiler. At some intermediate stage of the boiler, the steam comes here and some sort of reheating is done, and again it goes back to the turbine. So it expands till the lowest pressure, and then it goes to the condenser. So this is the water cycle. Am I clear? So if you get at least 70% to 80% idea of it, then let us proceed, because these things we will see in different form later stage. But if you have got any question, I mean, you are most welcome to ask the question.
Sir, first of all, like there's a fan at 20, right?
Fan is 20. There are 2 fans. In the air path, there are 2 fans. One fan is there at 20, it is a forced draft fan. And one fan is there at 26, it is an induced draft fan.
So
at least 20, there are 2 fans.
26 is okay. 20 is feeding air to the like
pulverizer. 16.
Okay, it is feeding air to 16, and from 16 it is going through 15 to the like coal burning.
Basically, it is the nozzle. It is going into the boiler. It has to take the coal dust. No.
Exactly. That is okay. Now there's air preheater 24, but there's no fan there.
No, there is no fan, because one fan is, see, air preheater, what air preheater is doing? Let me explain. Air preheater is preheating the air, preheating the incoming air. What is the incoming air? The gray line is the incoming air. What is the outgoing hot air? White line is the outgoing hot air. And this is a heat exchanger where these 2 air comes in, not direct contact, but comes in contact, so that heat exchange becomes possible. So here there is a fan for the incoming air. Here there is a fan for the outgoing air, and in between we are having the air preheater. Air preheater I will explain later on. I mean, how does it look and how does it operate?
Sir, so because there's an air preheater, we don't need a fan there for circulation.
No. Air preheater will temperature, it will increase. Fan is needed for
circulation
to overcome the pressure drop.
Okay. So after air passes through air preheater, then conduction will happen.
Just give me 1 minute. See, raw air, when we are taking from atmosphere, it is having 25 degree, 30 degree temperature, 35 degree temperature. So obviously 30 degree temperature air, if it mixes with coal, our combustion will not be very efficient. So if there is an air preheater, it will do many things. First thing, air temperature is high, combustion will be good. And then hot air is going through, this pulverizer. Then coal also have lot of moisture. You know that large amount of coal will be needed. In open space, the coal will be dumped. It will collect all the moisture in rainwater will fall on it. So the hot air, that's why air preheating is needed, will take away those moistures. Okay, so that combustion will become very efficient. We want to get the full worth of the money we are spending for our fuel, that is coal. So that's why air preheating is needed.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. And there's no regeneration, is it?
Regeneration is here because feed water heaters has been shown, but not in that details. I mean, see, regeneration, what is regeneration? I have tried to define regeneration, that taking thermal energy from the same cycle, if we do some heating, we are not burning extra coal, so then we call it regenerator or regeneration. So it can be two-way in a steam power plant. We are heating the water, taking some amount of steam, that is regeneration. And we are heating the incoming air with the help of the outgoing hot air, that is also some kind of regeneration. So basically, here there is some sort of regeneration, but details has not been shown. And here, this 24, it is written air preheater, but also popularly this heat exchanger is known as a regenerator. Okay, either it is called.
So we have regeneration like from the outgoing air, we have regeneration from the condenser, but we don't have regeneration by the bleeding of turbine as we have discussed.
No. Please. The first part is correct. We are having regeneration from the outgoing air. Condenser, we do not have any kind of regeneration. So we will have regeneration from the steam turbine only, bleeding steam. But that is not been shown in this small diagram. Only those feed water heaters has been shown, but the steam line has not been shown.
And it like in the diagram, the feed water heater is being connected to the condenser, I think, through 7.
Just a minute. नहीं, वो तो होता ही है, because the condensate, this is not wrong. This is the usual line diagram. The condensate to boiler, there is a steam, there is a pipeline, water pipeline. In between your feed water heater comes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So that is what is happening here. Only thing is that what heats the water, that line should have come from the steam turbine. That has not been shown.
Exactly. Okay. Half has been shown, half has not been shown.
So
okay.
You should forgive them, because this is a very small diagram. They have not make it more complicated.
Yes,
Definitely there should be, but they have not make it more.
Yes, sir. There are pumps on that line also. There are two pumps.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Should I then go to the next slide? So more or less, I request everyone to spend some 5-10 minutes time. When you are referring back to the note, and try to see what are the different component, etc. How the steam circuit is, how the water circuit is. You will get a good idea. Good. So certain feature of subcritical Rankine cycle. So the different phase of heat addition. This is one thing important I have told, that 1 to 2, let's say 1 to 2, this is your feed heater plus economizer. That means when we are heating water up to its saturation point, either or part of it is done with the help of feed water heater, and part of it is done with the hot gas, that is your economizer. Then 2 to 3 is the vaporization, and 3 to 4 is your superheat. So here it has been shown by at two different pressure level. As the pressure level increases, unfortunately what happens, though we are getting more amount of heat absorbed by the cycle, but due to temperature we have to restrict somewhere over here, and then if I do the expansion, so at the end of the cycle there is lot of moisture. So as the pressure increases, this I have told earlier, the moisture content after expansion also increases. This is a limitation, or this is a disadvantage. Okay. Now you see, let me go back. Something I wanted to explain over here, but the figure was too congested to explain. I have told that what tubes are laid along the wall. This is called water wall. So they will absorb the heat, there is a round thing which is called steam drum. Here they will go, and then steam and water will get separated, and the liquid water then will come back. Again, it will absorb the steam. So there is some sort of a circulation, internal circulation, and this is a very important part of the boiler. So this I have shown in in a better way, schematic of circulation system. In subcooled boiler, this is one important thing. So economizer, that means water is heated almost up to saturation point. Okay, then it comes to the steam drum. Okay, water, and then the steam drum, there is a loop like this, and there is a pump. Most of the cases there is a pump. There need not be a pump in small boiler, but big boiler there is a pump. This is not feed water pump. This is a circulation pump in the boiler. So this pump circulates water and it passes in, it goes in the upward direction. So while it goes in the upward direction, it is embedded in the boiler wall, what is called water wall. So it cools the wall, and at the same time it absorbs a lot of heat. So part of it, let's say almost 20% of the water which is going up, so that will get into steam. So a mixture of, where is the cursor? A mixture of 20% steam and 80% water will go here in the steam drum, which is a very big structure. In this steam drum, then water and steam will get separated. Okay, and steam will come out of here, which is saturated only, then it has to go to the superheater. And the water, there is a pump, so water will be drawn through this. So this is called a downcomer, and this is called a riser. Okay, water wall riser, those words I have written here. So this is a riser. So continuously this circulation will go on. And this is a very, very important feature of a subcooled boiler. When a boiler is working in the subcooled condition, so within the two-phase dome, so this is a very important feature. Okay, and there are three parts. In economizer, heat is transferred to water. In this circulation loop, water is getting converted into getting converted into steam, and in the superheater, the saturated steam is getting superheated. Okay. So next level of improvisation of the Rankine cycle. So something I have told, that how we can increase the mean temperature, how we can increase the boiler pressure. These issues have already been discussed. I am not describing them. Now what I can do, that suppose I want to change the temperature to a very great extent. So what is done, that we cross even the critical point. This diagram is not very, it is educative, but not very important as such. So this is our critical point. So we want to cross the critical point. Okay, if we cross the critical point, let us look into this diagram. So here there is a triple point, we know. Basically it is a triple line. Here we have got critical point. So triple point, it is like this. Here it is some sort of a demarcation line between solid and liquid, and then here we are having liquid phase, here we are having vapor phase. So the blue line is the difference between your liquid and vapor. At the critical point, what happens, there is no difference or demarcation between the liquid and the vapor phase. So neither we can call it a liquid nor we can call it a vapor phase. Okay, and then so what we will call in this zone, we will call it as a supercritical fluid. We will neither call it a liquid, we will neither call it a vapor. So let me explain it with this diagram. This is more familiar to us. So it is actually PV diagram. So as we are having different temperature, so at this particular temperature, let's say we are following the curve T2 or we are following the curve T1. So curve T1, we are reducing the pressure. So if we reduce the pressure, at one point it will become liquid, and then it will enter the two-phase dome. Within the two-phase dome, if the pressure remains constant, temperature will also remains constant, and here it will become that saturated vapor. So here it is saturated liquid, here it is saturated vapor. And there is an enthalpy difference between saturated liquid and saturated vapor. So this is your latent heat of vaporization. But more we go towards the critical temperature, what will happen? The density difference between the saturated liquid and saturated vapor will reduce. The enthalpy difference between them will reduce. That means the latent heat will reduce. So at one point, I mean, liquid and vapor, they will have the same density. They will have the same enthalpy. That means no phase change is taking place. Here we will get supercritical fluid. So my cycle will be something like that, that I will never enter this two-phase dome. I will go outside and my cycle will be something like this. I will enter only the two-phase dome where condensation is needed. But for evaporation or boiling, I will never enter the two-phase dome. So that kind of cycle will be called a supercritical cycle. I will show you the schematic figure. So what is the advantage? Advantage is that I can go to much higher temperature. Of course, pressure will also increase. So let us see. Let me skip this also. If you feel, you can read it, but some values are there. Boiler pressure is higher than the critical pressure of 22.064 megapascal. So far the examples we were taking 8 megapascal, etc. If we go to supercritical thermal power plant, the pressure will be more than 22 megapascal, around 25 megapascal. So very high pressure. Okay. There is no distinction between liquid and vapor at the critical point. The fluid as a whole changes its phase and forms a homogeneous mass of second phase. So whether first phase or second phase, we should call it, I mean, that is the debate till the physicists are having. So, but there is no phase change at all. For phase change, there should be some sort of a abrupt change in density. There should be a need of latent heat of vaporization. There should be an abrupt change in enthalpy. So those things are absent if we follow a path outside the two-phase dome and cross the critical point. Okay. So if we follow the subcritical region for phase change, we will have like this, that liquid is there, then boiling is taking place, vapor bubbles are there, then liquid droplets and superheated vapor, and then ultimately such superheated vapor here, no liquid. And here there is no vapor, it is subcooled liquid. But in this case, the change is something like this. Density change is taking place gradually. Enthalpy change is taking place gradually. So that's why I have shown this diagram. Okay. So the supercritical Rankine cycle looks like this. This is the TS diagram. We have not entered the two-phase dome for change of liquid phase to vapor phase. We have crossed the critical point, and then of course there are different reheating stages. These are reheating stages. So with that, our cycle will look like this. Okay, here I will stop and ask you if you have got any questions so far. please ask me. If any slide we have to revisit, we will revisit. Bolo, do you have anything to ask?
So for this supercritical line, the boiler pressure has to continuously increase, right?
Not boiler pressure will not continuously increase. Basically, what will happen, you know, that pressure increase takes place only in the pump.
Okay, so it's like an array of pumps which are
maybe 2-3 pumps will be there, so they will go on increasing the pressure.
Okay, okay. And boiler, there is only constant pressure rating.
So it will follow a constant pressure line. Let me go back and then try to show it to you. Here it is like this. Let's say from I have raised the pressure to this one. So this is the critical pressure. So somewhere here my curve will go, and then there is a pump which is raising the pressure from here to here, here to here, and then there will be continuously this. Somehow I have to reach this pressure curve or a pressure curve above this, and after that it will remain constant. With the help of TS diagram, I can show it. I do not know whether that kind of TS diagram is there or not. If not, in our next class, I will show it to you. Okay. In our next class, I will show it to you what I am trying to means where the pumps will be placed and things like that. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, what is the use of this header in this water wall? Before this water wall, we have this header.
You are asking something which is much here.
Yes.
Here there is a header.
Yes.
And here also there will be some header which is not visible. Some header. It is like this. I have shown only one riser and one downcomer. But there are very large number of riser, relatively less number of downcomer, but very large number of riser. So what happens? Water from the pump, from the pump, it is supplied to, let's say, a horizontal pipeline of relatively larger diameter. From there, number of riser will come. So the header is basically taking the water from the pump, and from there, there is no single riser. There are very large number of risers. So they will come from the header. All right.
Yes, sir.
So basically, steam drum is a very long cylinder, large diameter, but very long cylinder. At different point, these risers are coming. And then at the bottom also, there should be some sort of a long cylinder from where the risers are emerging. So that is the header. Okay. Any other question?
Sir, can you explain in the figure where are the steam drum and all of the economizer parts in the subcritical cycle?
The steam drum is here. Anna, you have seen some sort of a circular thing? Could you see? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is your steam drum. This is the riser within the water wall. And this is the downcomer which is coming through cold zone, not through heated zone. So liquid water is coming like this. And the the liquid water, there will be some sort of a pump which is not shown in this small diagram, and the water is going up, but it is going through the hot zone, so it will generate certain amount of steam, and then this steam will get separated in the steam drum. We will explain this thing later on also. And the header will be somewhere over here, which is not visible. Okay, header will be somewhere over here. This is the steam drum, this is the riser, and this is the down. Okay.
Sir, here the complete conversion of liquid water to saturated, saturated liquid happens only along the walls.
Not complete conversion. Not complete conversion. I'll tell you. Let me go to this. So here, this is the hot wall. So through the hot wall, water is moving through the pipe, and partially, at best, 20% of the water which is flowing, that will get converted into steam. So continuously this is circulating. Continuously from economizer, liquid water is coming, and what is getting circulated, only 20% of that. Okay, that is not a fixed figure, that may change. So only 20% of that is getting converted into steam. All right. Because there are several reasons why we do it, but we never want the boiler tubes to run in this section, run dry. If it is full of steam, then it is dry and tube failure. Whatever we learn from tube, tube failure is a very common word in case of boiler. So the tube failure takes place here, where that if there is some sort of a dry section of the tube, so that will get overheated, and that may develop some sort of a leakage or crack or something. So that is your tube failure. We cannot afford this. So it has to run full with water with less amount of steam. But even 20% steam is not less, because the steam volume is very large compared to the water volume. So 20% steam will also occupy good amount of area in the tube. Okay? And then water and steam is being delivered to the steam drum where lot of water is there. So obviously, and this water is in almost in saturated temperature. So steam will not condense, but steam will get separated out of this pool. But that will be only partially, very, very little bit of moisture will be there, but that will not be superheated. Saturated, almost saturated steam with some amount of moisture. And that will go out of the steam drum. We have to take it to the superheater. So in case of subcooled boiler, these three parts are distinct. Economizer, where we are heating water, then the circulation loop, where we are producing steam or evaporation is taking place, and the superheater, where we are heating the saturated vapor into superheated vapor. So these three sections are very distinct in case of subcooled boiler, subcritical boiler. So this is what I wanted to make you understand. Is it all right? Well, if there is any question, I will not teach anything new today. Let us go slowly, but let whatever small number of students attend the class, let them understand it clearly. Hello? Is there any question?
Sir, I had a small doubt.
Mm-hmm.
What are we referring to economizer as here? In
Economizer is that part that from the condenser, condensate is coming. After that, there are n number pump is there. Okay. But there are n number of feed water heaters, or x number of feed water heater. So they are increasing the temperature step by step. At one point, feed water heater will not be put. By hot gas generated in this boiler, we will heat the water almost to the saturation temperature. That part is called economizer.
So on TS diagram, it is that after
Yeah.
pump, the liquid is cooling to the
Dekho.
1, 2, 1, 2.
1, 2 part of it, let's say up to this, it is feed water heater. And
Feed water
इधर
heater
से
from the
इधर.
condenser.
Condenser से तो इधर आया, then pumped. Feed water heater is coming from, means you have to correlate things. I understand there are so many things. So,
Bleeding of turbine.
bleeding of turbine.
Okay,
Good.
okay, okay.
Sorry. तो उसके बाद क्या हुआ? So somewhere here the feed water heater have done their work. So from here to up to 2 is by your hot gas. So this is your economizer. Okay.
And condenser is giving away heat to the environment through cooling tower.
Yeah. Good.
So what? So why is the arrow on the right and towards right in the middle horizontal part?
No. I have shown 2 cycles. One at low pressure and one at high pressure. Is there number nahi diya? Just a minute. This one, let's say this is A, B, C, D, E, F. This is one cycle at low pressure, and this is, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is another cycle at high pressure. 2 Rankine cycles have been shown. What has been shown here, that if we increase the pressure, then the steam becomes moist at the end of the expansion.
Sir, I still did not understand the function of header.
Huh?
I still did not understand the function of header.
You still did not understand the function of header. ठीक है, देखते हैं. एक काम करते हैं. Next class we will start again. Can we do one thing? Can we leave it for tomorrow's class? Then I can draw some sort of a figure and I can tell you what exactly is the header. Can we do that?
Sure, sir.
Next. So I will draw a figure because I do not want to delay you. Now Professor Sandipan Ghosh Maulik will take. So I do not want to get delayed. I will draw one figure and show it to you. Okay. Or if possible, I can send this diagram by email also to everybody. Okay. Okay then. So we are ending it here. Thank you.